So today I want to try to clean this truck up a little bit, make it a little more presentable, a little bit less likely to get pulled over by the police for having some sort of a, I don't know, blinker out or looking rough or, having some sort of issue like that. So I got a pile of parts and I want to walk through kind of putting those on today. So I got some LED turn signals. These are Dennis Carpenter. They just replace, I guess, the light inside of here. I'll have to figure that out. But the lights on this thing are, taillights and brake lights are super dim on this. So I want to try to make something brighter, a little bit closer to today's standard. All the cars today have like a super bright LED type light on them. Put those in there. I got a dimmer switch for the floor. The one inside the truck is frozen. I think the headlights are stuck in a high beam position. So hopefully with the cheap switch here I can fix that problem. I got the wheel caps. I think I'm just going to take these and put them on the polisher and see if I can't make them shine a little bit and make them stand out against those wheels. Again, just making the truck look not quite so ratty, a little more put together. So clean those up. I got 2 new headlights for it. These are these Morimoto 7-inch sealed beam LED projector headlights. It's supposed to be super bright. It's supposed to be a plug-and-play type application. So we'll do some before and after. Like I'll put these in after the sun goes down, and we'll go check out those factory lights versus what these put out for light output. And then for the back, I got a brand new chrome bumper. Put across the back of this thing so that it looks a little more sleek and fixed up than it did. There's no roll pan or anything, but it gets rid of that big giant steel bumper that we had on there from the original dealership and puts a nice kind of sporty looking chrome bumper on there. And then I got these AMD bumper brackets for this truck. So I'll get this put together and we'll kind of just throw this stuff on here today and try to clean this truck up a little bit. So with these wheels, I'm not planning to run them very long, but I just want to kind of clean them up so I can get this truck inspected and try to get some insurance on it, get it on the road for, 1,000 miles or so, and then kind of change things up again. So what I'm going to do is just Scotch-Brite these wheels and try to get the rust off of them and put some tooth in that old paint that's on there and get all the dirt off and everything. Primarily, I just want to kind of paint this strip here a nice fresh coat of black, and then it should all be covered up by those wheel caps as long as I keep the wheel caps on there, so it shouldn't be a big deal. So I'll just scuff these things up real quick with the rough red Scotch-Brite, and then tape off the tire and put some paint on them. Check this out. I'm just going to shoot these with some rattle can gloss black here. Home Depot is selling these turbo spray systems. It's like a double can fast spray gloss enamel. Look at this tip it's got. It's like this giant fan. I have no idea how it's going to spray. I just saw it at the store this morning and I was like, I'm going to be doing a lot of spraying, so 2 cans should do it, and this looks like it gives 2 cans of one and the ability to cover some ground in a hurry. Wow, that certainly throws out a lot of paint. It's almost kind of hard to control too, because you can't really move the can around as fast as you normally would be able to. This can throws out some serious paint. I swear it's thrown out at least half the can already. Okay, you pull the trigger and it is just unloading tons of paint in a hurry. It actually lays out pretty evenly. It's almost like it's a thicker consistency paint in here. It's not quite as thin as the normal stuff out of the can. But if you got a lot of work to do, this will certainly cover it. I swear you can almost paint a car with one of these things. Alright, I'll let that flash for a few minutes and I'll come back and maybe touch it up. And I got a regular can of gloss black as well. I might just use that for the touch-up work. And it's got a hefty coat of paint on it now. This stuff goes on with a lot of bubbles. Like as it sprays out, it's so like aerated or something. It's like there's bubbles inside the paint. But as it lays out, the bubbles seem to come out of there, which is good. It looks like it's going to lay out and give us a nice gloss finish. Also a thick finish too. There's a lot of material that's coming out of that tip. So these wheel covers, it looks like they're supposed to be painted in the center. Also, I'll take them to the sink and just wash them up and get the trash out of them, and then try to figure out where they're painted in the factory. It looks like they got a black ring here and a black ring here, and the center of them is black as well. And it actually looks like each one of the inside of these little indentation pieces around this trim here is also black. So I don't know, I'll clean them up, we'll see what they look like, and kind of put a plan together for putting some fresh paint on these too. So I'm going to reshoot the insides of these hubcaps and just paint this inside ring black again. Then I think come back with some like 1200 grit or 600 grit sandpaper and just sand off over this logo and try to make it shine again like it did before. I'm not going to try to paint the outside of these and do a perfect restoration or anything. These things are pretty beat up. But so what I'm going to do here is just tape these off and run a razor blade around the inside of them. It's worked pretty well on the previous three. I'll kind of show you my process for this so far. There's an indentation here in the metal where they stamped it, and you can just take your thumbnail and run right around that edge and smash that groove down in there, or smash that tape down in that groove. You can actually see where it gives you a nice cut line there to follow along. So I just take a razor blade, and from smashing all that stuff down, you can kind of take the back side of the razor blade and make sure it's contoured into that hole really well, or into that feature in the stamping, and flip the blade over and just go around and cut it out, follow in that line. So I'll finish putting some paper over these and just run a little piece of masking tape around the outside, but I'm going to use this this semi-gloss black to reshoot the inside of these with. Just another Rust-Oleum product, and it usually covers pretty well. So I'll just put a light dusting on there so I'm not trying to sand through like 4 or 5 mils of paint on top of that little embossed logo there. So these I'm just going to dust some paint in here, try not to get the paint built up real thick at all. In fact, try to keep it to a minimum. Okay, so just enough to cover it. I'm going to leave it at that. So I had an idea while I was taking the tape off of these wheel covers. I just put a little bit of thinner on a real tightly wrapped paper towel and go along here and just take that paint off those high spots. So it seems to take the paint off. It still has the 3 dots in the center, which I'll probably come back and touch those up whenever the paint's a little more dry, or use a Q-tip or something. But it seems to get a lot of the legwork done, so you're not having to sand off nearly as much. Seems to be like it's going to be a lot faster than going back to some sandpaper. I'm going to get going on putting this bumper on here. The bumper came with 4 bolts, which look like they go, I guess on the top here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 2 holes in the bottom of the bumper down here. So hopefully I'm not 2 bolts short. Maybe I am. So I'll get out 2 to start with. And then try to figure out these brackets also. So I'm not super happy with this thing. It looks like it's sticking, the bottom's sticking way out from the bottom of the truck. I guess it's supposed to be kind of level and this part's out too far. There's 2 problems. One is that the bumper bracket I got is actually overlapping this factory rear spring shackle that's riveted to the truck frame. So I'm going to have to trim that a little bit to get it to bolt up closer to the truck. And then this bracket here is hitting the bottom of the, at the bottom of the bed. I think it's the bottom of the bed. So it has a dip there for it, but I'd like a little more dip, I think, to let it actually sit up a little closer, a little bit tighter to the bed. Then these bumper brackets and this bumper don't seem to go together very well. There's the top bolt looks like it's okay. So I can show from this angle. Looks like it's bolted in all right. But see the bottom? There's like a 3/4 inch gap down there. We're just not touching the bumper bracket at all. So I don't know what to do with that. If I should try to like shim it with something or just, whoops. If I should try to shim that with something or if I should just let it go or loosely put a bolt in there. I don't know what to do with it. I'm afraid it's gonna, if I put a bolt in and tighten it up, I'm afraid it's gonna deform the bottom of the bumper down there. So, well, I'll loosen these brackets a little bit. Let me take them off and take the plasma cutter and cut a little bit off the front of the bracket. And I may have to end up drilling a second front hole in there just to have a better way to bolt this thing up to the frame. So quick update here for these brackets. I got everything kind of clamped in place and looks like I'm going to be able to use this original bolt hole here in the frame and the bracket. The front one, I'm going to take the plasma cutter and cut this little section off to clearance for this, this rear hanger back here. And then I went ahead and scribed inside of this hole to scribe a line on the frame there. So I'm just going to take the plasma and plasma that hole in there at the same time. And then here on this side, this hole is not aligned with the bumper hole. It looks like the way the bumper's sitting, the best bet is to trim some off the bracket here. This bumper is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sitting out on the bottom. It'd be nice to pull this side of the bumper in towards the front of the truck a little bit more. So I got both sides marked. I'll just take this thing down and make my cuts and put it back up. Alright, so there's that bumper. I guess I gotta figure out these license plate lights. I didn't buy any of those whenever I bought the bumper. But there's some wiring underneath here. I guess I'll have to figure out if any of that ties into these license plate lamps here. If not, I'm guessing I can just tie into there off of the taillights and tie into those license plate lamps to get this thing all good and legal. Okay, so here's these Dennis Carpenter lights. These are actually the cheapest on Amazon. They sold them for, I want to say $65 or $75 for the pair. Most of the places I saw them online had it was that much per side, but the Amazon deal came with left and a right side. I don't think it came with instructions, but it looks like it's just the bulb that plugs in here. So I'll take the existing taillight out and put these new ones in. And it looks like it'll just sandwich back behind the lens that goes on here. Let me grab that real quick. So I was actually thinking that these lights somehow replace this whole lens, but I guess they don't. And I lost my bottom screw for this thing yesterday. I'm gonna figure out what I did with it. It was on the table over there, and now it's gone. All right, I'll change the other one, and then we'll test these things out. Well, that seems substantially better. You can definitely see those going down the road. It needs some new lenses. The lenses are pretty cloudy. It'd be nice to get those cleared up a little bit more. Well, I guess if the turn signals would flash, that this actually be pretty good. It's a good brake light too. I guess I'll just step on the brakes and then go back and watch my video to see if it's working or not. They didn't work. Why don't you guys tell me that? So it looks like those lights are going to work out good. I have no brake lights evidently, so I have to figure out electrically why the brake lights aren't working off the pedal. I'm not sure that pedal has a like a motion switch on it. When you press the pedal down, it actually opens and closes a switch, or if it actually works off the hydraulic brake line pressure. So I'll go dig into that a little bit here. All right, so time to switch these headlights out. See a difference it makes. That poor thing there has been hit and knocked all to hell. I guess I should take some time and kind of paint these, and I can't decide if I want to keep this grill or change that other grill that I got. I got one out of like a 70 or 71 model truck that I kind of like better, but I go back and forth, and I like this style better, but this grill is just so ratty and like broken. I'm not sure there's a way to save it without just spending way too much time. Looks like it's even like smashed in here. So looks like these lights just have a standard plug in the back of them, like you would find on the back of one of these regular sealed beams. They're supposed to have some sort of a daytime running light on them as well. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. I guess we could check it real quick. So pull up the power probe again, and I assume the black wire in here is the ground wire. So we'll ground that, and then we'll see what this looks like. This has words up here at the top. I assume this is the top of the light. Shut that off. So I guess it would just put some sort of a looks like this center. There's like a center LED in the middle of this light right here. Looks like it just turns that center light on. It kind of provides like some sort of a light. So as you went down the road, you would see a look that kind of looked like this. So it's not actually illuminating the road. It's just kind of putting like a marker light out there. Versus there's your Is it high beam? Huh. Well, maybe I'll hook that up some other time, because it would have to go to like a almost like a switched power source, depending on how you wanted to run that center light. If you wanted to have a switch on the truck, or if you wanted to have it on with the accessory position of the key, or the run position of the key. I'll just tuck that off in the grill where I can find it a little bit later. Wow, it's indexed for the bucket and everything. I guess the old light was indexed the same way. I didn't see that it has these like marks on the raised part of the glass back here to actually keep it clocked correctly, so you don't end up with a headlight that's like, you know, pointing off to the side and throwing light out that way. Well, that was almost too easy. Really no nothing to grind, nothing to cut. It just plugged right in, went right in the hole. So I'm really surprised to see that. Well, I'm hoping these things put out a lot more light and, like, you know, put a lot of light down low on the road where you can see it. Looks like on my hand they've got a pretty good cutoff line, so I'll change the other side out and we'll back it out and kind of run that same test. I'll shine the lights on the shop again, and then we'll go out and put it in the road and kind of shine the lights down the road and see if it puts a more focused beam out there and puts a better, like, visible light down the road and makes it better for driving.